Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, March 22nd. Skipped yesterday. Gamed with my buddies after work. Quite fun. Today I got off work and I am heating up the last of the leftover chili that I'd made a couple days ago and some spaghetti. I'm gonna make chili mac. I do that a lot with the leftover chili. I don't tend to do that when I'm just making chili the first time. I just have a bowl of chili. But to make the leftovers stretch, I'll often cook up some pasta to go with it. It works well together. I like it. Otherwise, got off work. It's Tuesday, and I actually haven't put any thought into what movie I'm going to watch. So I will make a decision and be right back with you. And I've made my decision. I was trying to talk myself into one of these movies. I'm like, I should watch one of these. I watched 007 just last week. I should watch one from this shelf. But I just, that's not what I want to watch. I want to watch, is it The World Is Not Enough is the next one? Yeah. The World Is Not Enough. Which is one that I don't have separately on DVD. So, I do not know for sure that I have seen it. But I assume so. I assume that I've seen all of the Pierce Brosnan ones. Because I know I've seen Die Another Day. That was the first one I remember I saw in theaters. So it was noteworthy. But, I have no idea what the plot of World Is Not Enough is. But we got our disc. We put it in, and we'll watch our movie. And here momentarily, I'll be telling you exactly what the plot is, and how I thought they did it, executing it. Just my general opinion of the film, how entertained I was. And watch. And I would give 007, The World Is Not Enough, a 7.4 out of 10. Not bad, not bad, but there's just some areas that are confusing. In my document that I have of back of box descriptions, it's one that's rather short. It just says, in the 19th film of the franchise, James Bond uncovers a nuclear plot when he protects an oil heiress from her former kidnapper, an international terrorist who can't feel pain. To its credit, this movie has one of the best pre-credit scenes or series of scenes that I've seen thus far. It is fantastic. So I'll give it that. And we got some people. Oh, is it Robbie Coltrane returns. He was one of the ones I recognized in Goldeneye, and he's back. That's cool. Seeing Hagrid. And then Denise Richards, who I recognize. So a couple familiar faces in there. I like the involvement of M in the plot. Of the two Daniel Craig James Bonds that I have seen, the one that I like, I was going to say, the one that I like best, I was like, oh, well, the other one I didn't really like. Though I've only seen it like once or twice. I think like once and then once with commentary. But, yeah, the one that I like involves M in the plot. A little bit feeling similar to the way some things go down in here. Like, there's several things. What is that? Is that Skyfall? There's several things in this one that are alike. You know, the villain with the malformity and the anger at M and the wanting to kidnap M. And there's just some things in there. Anyways, so as far as the M6 base of operations, they're out of that strange war room from the last movie, and they're back into the actual M6 headquarters. In the beginning, except it gets blown up. Not completely, but blown to the side, damaged. So they end up in a secondary facility for most of it out in Scotland. Because their office got blown. But getting to see the real M6 for part of it, real great. Getting sort of a feel of Q's department and how it reaches the outside, because he exits the building with the boat out of the sight. Again, opening scene great. And while, of course, after this one, Desmond Llewellyn will be very much missed, we got John Cleese introduced. And I like that we introduce R as the successor while Q is still around. I am sad knowing that he will only be in one more movie, and then John Cleese isn't in it anymore because of the way they went, but whatever. But as a fan of Pythons, I like the introduction of John Cleese to it. I like that he's at least in the series in part. But the movie gets confusing. That's its biggest flaw. I mean, there's points like where James is going out and we're seeing these tree cutters, and I'm like, oh, that'll be a cool action scene. And I don't know if I've seen this movie or not, because there's some things in there I'm like, I don't remember this at all. So this might have been the first time I've seen this one. Definitely to memory. But our villain, spoilers, is the oil heiress who killed her own father and is doing all this. And so, there's lots of confusion of, oh, is she the bad guy? Is she working with the terrorist? What's going on? And it's a whole thing with Stockholm Syndrome, but then really, who's doing this for who? Because the guy that can't feel pain because he has a bullet in his brain and is dying. So really, at some point, he's helping her because she seduced him. And who's in charge of who? I don't know. And then who's betraying who? Because so many people on so many different faction sides are working with him, but, betraying whoever they're at. It's hard to keep track of. They didn't do a great job. Too many people dressed too similarly, being too much of betrayers. And I don't know who's good, who's bad. So that's probably the biggest detriment to it. And also, there are just times where it gets real slow for a while they're explaining things, where they didn't make it entertaining while things are being explained, which, isn't always easy to do, but a lot of the James Bond movies have done quite well. But yeah, we go through our movie with our leading lady being the person he's protecting until eventually he figures out, oh, she's evil. And right around that time is when he gets our new leading lady, who's the person that can defuse the bomb and that kind of thing. Has the skills needed to get us through the rest of the film. It's like the ending scene. The film's climax. In the sinking submarine where the guy's trying to blow it up and blow up the city, there are truly high stakes, but it's not made clear enough of where the stakes are. Because there's things that happen that, based on what it seemed like things were going to be, oh, he got the the metal tube pushed into the hole, that means the whole city dies, is what we were set up to. But no, he has to keep it in there for a while, so this whole city didn't die, even though the tension had... So there's this thing's like misbuilding tension, and then you're like, wait, no, it didn't blow up. I thought it was going to blow up. So things like that. But overall, still very good. One of the best pre-credit scenes, really. The whole thing in the office, exchanging the money, trying to get the information, taking things back. The money was a trap. The ally gets killed. The big chase to try and get the person involved. No, this is so good. And there's points like the moment where our oil heiress is out skiing and things happen, and his coat, the joke that introduced us to R, John Cleese's character, protects them from the avalanche, and her panic on being buried alive and just sort of tying that to like a mindset of someone with psychological issues from the time that she spent in captivity was great. Learning that she's not so upset about her time in captivity makes that scene more confusing, but that was a great emotional beat. I like... You have so many... it is a thing in James Bond for women to have weird names. And many of them are quite inappropriate. And that's the joke. This one introduces the character of Christmas. She says, don't make any jokes. I've heard them all. There she is. And that at the end, so much tension's built. The world's been saved. And he finally, breaks her out of her shell into romantic interest. And just starting to throw out the jokes with Christmas at that point makes me enjoy that name. It was brilliant. I mean, they say things like, whatever, Christmas only comes once a year, and, make inappropriate jokes with it anyways. But I mean, it's James Bond, that's what they do. But... Shouldn't you open your present? It made me really appreciate some of the... I was like, okay, that was a good one where the name itself, perfectly fine, perfectly normal name. Actually, a rather lovely name. But I like Christmas. And then they just kind of tell the jokes and the puns. And particularly for me, I was hanging out with my buddies yesterday, and Bob was definitely on his A pun game. And so I'm kind of primed for that. It's fun. Other things. There's the tunnel, the tube scene where he fakes his death by letting the oil pipeline blow up. So I think that he got blown up with it. That was good. I don't know. Some good things, some bad things. Overall, I had fun. But yeah, a little confusing. At times, slow. But they, had an overall solid film. I'm probably kind of rambly because it's late. I'd usually be in bed by now. I've got some more time helping work with the training department, so late shift tomorrow, so I don't have to rush to bed, but my brain definitely says, you're tired though, so here's what it is. I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you for joining me, and join me as my journey continues.